Your videos here, your base be the glory.
Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? 28 what? Who that? Hold that what? Who that what? Free bags what? Who that? Whoa, slim way. Whoa, who that what? Who that what? Who that what?
Welcome to episode 13 of Who That 242. I'm your host, Timmy. We're here on the Solar Podcast. And I shout out to our sponsors, Collective Bear of the Bahamas, Ricardo Rum, Uniquely Bahamian, and Cause Light Made to Chill. I have this there. She's fresh from Spain, so that's why we're doing the She's fresh outside the country. MYKAH, you might know her as the Iguana Gal. We'll get to that later on the show. But her actually Bahamahoopyogi. I said right?
Bahama. Yogi.
Bahama.
Right there on the screen to me. It right there.
I say, it's so much guineas. It's a guinea and a yogi and all these type of things. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I'm good.
So I first met you. You're hangry so an influencer event on Pearl Island.
Yeah.
Very drunk.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a
It was my
good
straight up.
night. And from then you tell me follow you was like, babe, all you was do the hoop thing and then the yoga. So talk to me about how you got into this like yoga and the hoop and like just talk me through the
Okay, so I got into yoga because of depression. Yeah, so I was living in Tennessee. I was going to Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee. And my aunt passed away in 2014, and she was basically like my second parent because my dad was like not around. So her and my mom took me to college, she took me shopping. Like she was my everything. So she passed away from cancer in 2017.
Fuck cancer.
Or 2014, sorry.
Fuck cancer still.
Yeah, still. And she died on a Wednesday. The following Friday was her funeral, and that Sunday I was on a plane back to Tennessee by myself.
Yeah. So like it really hit like man, it's like she gone.
And it was hard because I didn't want to go back because I understood where I was. Like I was really depressed. And then right before I had come home, I went to a psychiatrist, and they had diagnosed me with seasonal affect disorder. So like seasonal depression. And so like I was dealing with that. So she died in January, which means it's still cold. So right. Seasonal depression when I go back to Tennessee in full effect. Plus after that, like with her death and stuff. So I just like was really like out of it. I was suicidal. I was really depressed. And I lost like 30 pounds in a month and a half. And I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, and I had just like thrown myself into schoolwork. So it's crazy, right? Because I was like super depressed, but that was the semester. I made like a 4.0.
And this which degree is this? Guys, she's a hot gal. She got 2 degrees. She's a hot gal. So which degree is this?
This is my undergraduate.
Okay,
So that, towards the end of my undergraduate. And so one of my teachers like took note of like me looking crazy because I wasn't like feeling anything in my body. So I wasn't feeling like hunger or thirst. So I was like, this was the point where I was getting like
basically this was like a zombie.
Yeah, so I was getting like drops every couple weeks or every couple days because I wasn't eating or drinking anything. And I had walked to class and I didn't realize it was like the dead of winter. I didn't have on like any winter clothes.
So you wasn't even feeling the cold?
No, I walked to class in like a t-shirt and shorts and like some slippers. And she was like, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
And so I just told her, and she was like, all right. She's like, you need to go to counseling. She's like, we're going to use my class sessions. I'm going to walk you to the counseling center, and then we'll figure out like the rest of your work on your off time. So I started going to therapy and stuff, and it like wasn't working. So I was like, why I still feel the same?
Yeah,
and so my therapist was like, all right, we're going to incorporate some mindfulness. So we started doing like body scans and meditation and all this stuff. And like by the third session, I was like feeling hungry and sleepy and like thirsty. And I was like, what is this? Like, I feel things again. And so I told one of my friends, I was like, yeah, I started like meditation and body scans and mindfulness. He's like, oh.
You gotta break down body scans.
So body scans is basically like you lay on the floor and then you kind of concentrate and you go through different parts of your body. So she would be like, imagine a warm sensation at the crown of your head. Imagine it moving down from the crown of your head to your cheek. And then it just like this warm sensation travels through your body. So it kind of like brings you into this state of like, even if you don't have any sensation in your body, it helps you to create a feeling so you can like stimulate that sensation. And so we started doing those. And my friend was like, oh yeah, you like all that stuff. You should try like asana, which is like posture, like the physical practice. And I was like, okay, bet. I went to the class and we were doing like some chest opening. And so when my aunt died, like I had this like perpetual, incredibly painful chest tightness.
Right.
And it was like a locking pain in my chest. And my chest would just like lock down. And like I would feel like I was having like kind of like a panic attack crossed with a heart attack.
Yeah.
It was like this crazy thing. Anyway, so I went to the first class and it was like a chest opening class. And like we did this one posture called puppy pose, and I felt like my chest like unlock, like I heard it crack open.
Wow.
And like as soon as the crack opened, I just started crying, like in the middle of the class, like ugly crying, like snotty up. I had to like get up and leave. And that happened like 3 classes after too. And so like by the 3rd class, he was like, all right, this gal definitely going through something. So he came up to me, my teacher, and he's like, hey, I've noticed you come to my class and you like cry. And so I just like told him everything. And he gave me like a crazy discount because he had a studio in town. And he was like, yeah, just pay me whenever you can. He's like, but I really feel like yoga's going to be helpful for you. So I got up to the point where I was practicing like 6 days a week, twice a day sometimes. And it really just like helped bring me back to myself. And I was like, but this is crazy. So when I started doing my master's and you had to like pick your concentration, I was like, I definitely pick in mindfulness because like for me, it changed my life. Like I want to see how much I can learn about it and like all the different
apply it. And for those who don't
apply
know,
it.
so your BS is in psych or sociology.
Yeah, so my undergraduate is in sociology and my sociology is concentrated in medical soc. So like epidemics, health trends among different people groups based on like their social circumstances, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then my master's is in developmental psychology, but I'm mostly focused on mindfulness and like mindfulness as an alternative to medicine. So for like a lot of people, they predispose to mental health issues, and a lot of medications that are for mental health can actually trigger those like underlying causes.
Right.
So like you have someone who's a schizophrenic parent and a bipolar parent. You really want to refrain from trying to give them medication because it could cause that to like onset
accelerate.
Right. And so I was really interested in like how can we offer mindfulness as an alternative to medication? And because when I first started with me and everything, they wanted to put me on medication. And I was like, I really don't want to do that. And then aside from that, like how is mindfulness beneficial to minority populations? Because there's not much research on that.
Right.
And so after like I did all my research in that, and after I graduated, I wrote my thesis on school violence in the Bahamas.
Which is it's so crazy how we so used to it. The line that I always tell my friends, this ain't normal, but like telling stories about how we used to fight things with like this ain't normal, like, but to us it's so normal.
Yeah, it's so normal. And like even I started like looking at, so the first thing I wanted to look at was kind of like based on gang activity in a certain area, does that contribute to higher school violence in that area? And then these kids who have school violence, I wanted to look at like the in-home circumstances, the in-school circumstances, all these different things. And so that's what I wrote my master's on. And then there's really no like research in the Bahamas on how mindfulness could actually help with behavioral issues.
Right.
So I had to like draw on what was available. And so I just wrote my thesis on that. And so when I came back, I was talking to my mom and I was like, I really feel like I need to explore yoga more, particularly hatha yoga, because all the research for PTSD, for trauma, for childhood abuse, all that stuff, like everything was pointing to hatha yoga. So I found
how many kinds of yoga? Like hundreds of thousands, or is like only like a few?
So like there's the granddaddy styles like Ashtanga, Tantra, Hatha, like the more ancient styles, and then like a lot of people know about Vinyasa. So Vinyasa is like a newer style of yoga that comes out of Hatha. So you could like have Hatha Vinyasa or Tantra Vinyasa. So it's like, but there are like
basically
many
it's levels to
different,
this.
yeah, it's levels to this, but there are many different styles of yoga. So if you've tried a yoga class and it wasn't your style, then, you know, keep trying because there's so many different kinds of yoga. You have like slower yoga, faster yoga, yoga with a lot more like inversions and like I guess some people call like showboaty yoga,
Yeah.
and then you have like some people who just like meditate, and that's also yoga. From you start breathing consciously, you're already practicing yoga. You know what I mean?
Ah, okay. So even if I just like that's like a form of
That's yoga. I mean, because the thing is, yoga is just uniting the breath and the body.
okay.
So all the other stuff after that are just extra. But once you come into that state of breathing consciously, you're already practicing yoga. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And so I was like, I need to probably do this training to like really figure out yoga. So I went to Mexico for a month and I did like a 200-hour training that changed my life. Like
And
entirely.
what year are we in now when you did this?
This was 2018.
18, okay.
So I graduated in August, and then I came home and I started teaching like uncertified, which wasn't.
You was getting like people came out and
Yeah, people were coming out. So I was teaching at Wolf Club Fitness with Theo,
okay.
and it was really good, and people were coming out, and it was solid. And then
Solid, we're gonna solid.
And then I was like, well, I actually talked to Alex, BAHAMAHOOPYOGI, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to support you, but you need to be certified. She's like, even if it's just a short training, like, go get certified. And I was like, bet. So I told Theo, I was like, listen, I want to stop until I'm certified. And when I come back, I'll resume teaching. So I went in December, stayed for a month, came back in January, did the whole month, yoga teacher training. It really was like super transformative. I worked through so much stuff. And then when I came back, I felt like, okay, now I could teach and pass all this on. And I understand why like teacher training is so important. And so I started teaching. I started out in the gyms. Didn't really pay that great, if I'm being honest. And so like, it was really difficult like with my family because like they want to be supportive, but at the same time, it's like, you've been in school forever. So what you do
2 degrees, you are there, as I said offline, just to be facetious, you are there winding up yourself and shaking your body. Time you go up 2 degrees, you could almost be a doctor basically. With all this knowledge in your head.
Yeah, and so like my family was like, your mom put you through school all this time, like you gotta find a real job where you could take care of her. And I was like, a real job? And I was like, this is a real job. So I really just started like pushing.
I've been there, even with this come a long way. Not until like I want to walk, but daddy gone from saying fake job to, oh, my son is there. So trust me, I get that.
Yeah, and so like it was just really difficult, like understanding your own vision, and then having like the pushback of your not even so much pushback, but just like those sly comments.
And they want, they feel like they want to have a secure box. They don't want you to get so lost in dream that if the floor fall out, you can't support yourself. So.
Right, exactly. And so like that was definitely understandable. And so I ended up getting a 9-to-5 working with a children's nonprofit, which is exactly like what my degree was in. But I was so unhappy. I was just like, okay, some parts of this are great. Other parts of this are horrible. And so like...
Were you still balancing doing the classes at the same time?
Yeah, so I was still teaching. And so I would teach in the afternoons. And then I would work like 8 to 5 or whatever. And I was like, this sucks. And so like by November, I was over it. And I was like, I'm going to quit this job.
So this 2019 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I quit.
And 2019, this was like probably right before the pandemic.
And so I quit, and my mom was like, that's crazy.
Shut up, please.
And so it was really rough for a period. But then the pandemic came, and something that I thought wouldn't happen did. The pandemic was great for me.
I have a question because like I know a lot of creatives and people who don't do the traditional jobs. It was horrible.
Oh my God.
Like me, I lost a lot of money. Yeah. Because no carnival, so I lost a lot of money.
Yeah. But for me, it was like fantastic. Because
of virtual?
Because of virtual. So like my virtual clients went through the roof. And then like when that whole when George Floyd was murdered, and people started like having this desire to interact more with like Black creators, it just like opened up so much more room for me because like people started hiring me to teach like virtual classes. And
do you have your own like personal setup, or did you have to go like to a gym and thing to be able to teach?
No, so I actually partners with a Stone's Throw Away.
Out west.
Yeah, and I would do like these virtual classes that I call like Escape the City.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first person to hire me for that was Joy. Shout out Joy, my UK babe. So she hired me to do like this Escape the City thing where she had her people who were like in London. And I went to this location so they could like see the beach and all this stuff, see the water, and then I teach them this class like from this sunny location. And I was like, this is a good idea.
That's a whole lane because there's so many countries that they probably need this.
And so I just like kind of sunk my teeth into that, and I started like pitching that out to people. And so I ended up teaching like multiple classes for her. A company in Israel hired me. Like all these companies from all over the world started hiring me. I even taught.
And they all found you through your IG? Or?
Yes, through my IG. I still don't have a website, which is pretty ghetto. Yeah. I need to work on that. But like, yeah, Ernst and Young in Atlanta hired me. Yeah, like when I tell you the pandemic was like really, really good for me. I taught like my first hula hoop like workshop online, like taught these ladies from all over the world, and they were like loving it. I started like doing different recordings for like online platforms, like all this stuff during the pandemic, and it was just great. And then like during the pandemic, what I feel like what really happened and what solidified like me making like real life money here in the Bahamas is during the pandemic, the ashram closed down. Which supplied a lot of the hotels with their teachers.
Right.
And then we had a lot of expat yoga teachers who left the country during the pandemic. And so that really opened up the spots for Bahamian yoga teachers to get their foot in the door. And so like...
way to go. In that sense, way to go. Because maybe there had never been a chance for you to break in if they were still there.
Exactly. And that's why I say, like, I'm sorry to say it, but the pandemic was so good.
Yeah, I've seen it where it's killed some industries, but like revitalized or birthed new ones.
And so like now it brought me into this position where I was having so many offers. I can now distribute those offers to other Bahamian yoga teachers and help them make money and like establish themselves as well. And so like I was really grateful to God for that, because like I said, I was making like maybe $50 a class at the gym to like now making like $150 a class. Wow. All because of the pandemic running the expats. You know what I mean? Go on. And so it's just like, I don't know. And I'm just really grateful because and that's why I always tell people, like, if you have a dream, like stay at it and keep working hard, because like it's the kind of thing where when God blesses you and you show that you're responsible to handle the blessings, like more blessings keep coming because you're a good steward of your blessings. Right, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so like for me, my career really took off when I like settled down and realized like, no, I can't go out on Friday night if I have a Saturday morning class. Yeah. No, I can't go out and stay out late Saturday night. Like I just had to start being more responsible and not like...
And balancing it out.
Right. So like now I have a reputation of showing up before time, teaching a good class, and people being happy and satisfied.
Right. And you got to maintain that.
And right. So I had to maintain that. So I was like really, going out and doing this. It ain't worth it.
Maybe Tuesday, Wednesdays you're going out because your classes aren't that heavy during the week.
Exactly. So like Thursday, that's my day. That's my day. Thirsty Thursdays. You can catch me out. Yeah. But like Fridays, Saturdays, because I have a 7:30 at Palm Key. Saturday mornings, and like at 8 o'clock and then 10 o'clock.
And I see you go to class this morning. I think when I woke up this morning, I checked IJC.
Yeah, so I teach at Ocean Club on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I teach at Island House on Sundays too. And so I just, it's all about being responsible. So I just be trying to be responsible.
Makes sense.
Once you show up and teach a good class, like people are pretty satisfied, and that's it. But yeah, like the pandemic was great. And I just wish that it didn't take the pandemic for people to realize like the talent that we have there. Yeah, right. Yeah. But at the same time, things happen. It is what it is. And so like now you had a couple teachers who like after the pandemic were trying to come back and get their job. Like, nah, we got some Bahamians who always here, who's always show up on time, who's teach a great class, and our people love her. Like
That's
Sorry.
Good chick. That's good chick.
Go back where you come from.
That's good. She's of course like one of our sponsors. Their nickname is the Silver Bullet. So I want to ask you about your nickname. So how did you? What? Because I still. So I heard you talk about the type of yoga you do. I still didn't hear about how the hoop comes in.
So the hula hoop. So that happened in 2015. So this girl, I was living on campus apartments, and
this was bachelor's.
This was still bachelor's. Yeah. And because I didn't start my master's till 2017.
Okay.
So this was 2015. I was living in an on-campus apartment, and there was this girl. We call them like festival girls. So they go to all the music festivals,
all the Coachella and all.
Yeah. But not even like she was like a smaller. Like she's go to small music festivals. Okay. So she had like all these. We call them props. Okay. So she had like these devil sticks. It's like these 2 sticks with like this baton. He used to be free.
That's called devil sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, I always seen it. Yeah.
She had them, and she had poi. And so poi, you know what poi is? So it's like balls on the end of these strings.
Oh, that's what it's called. Okay.
And you like do different like weaving tricks and stuff. And one of her friends had given her a hula hoop before she moved to Tennessee. And I was like, I saw her doing it, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And she's like, yeah, I could teach you some stuff you wanted to. And so I started like learning from her, and then I became like absolutely obsessed because I was like, this is amazing.
This is my thing.
Yeah. So like I started like, I went out and bought my own hula hoop. I started like, I would spend like 5-6 hours a day just practicing. And I mean like I was horrible, right? Like my arms used to be all bruised up, my legs.
Are they heavier?
Are
they heavier than normal? Like are they like heavy hoops or just I guess the timing of how long you was doing this for? I'm gonna figure out how
it's like you have different kinds of hula hoops. So you have like hula hoops that made from like HP. So like them heavy pipe hula hoops, and then you have like polypro that are lighter. But like in the beginning, I was just using like regular, like the regular piping. So I had like bruises on the inside of my arms like that big, on the inside of my thighs like that big. I remember one time I hit myself in the face with a hoop, and I had like a black mark.
So
like,
of course it looked like you get beat.
Yeah, but because like all the Bahamian people is ready to, at my school is ready to fight somebody because they know I get soft.
Who do this?
Who this? And I was like, no, it's just my hula hoop. It's like, I know you lying. What nigga is this you talking to now? Like, you know, like
who do? Hey, we get squared up. We got, you know,
we gotta unite. And so it was just like practice, trial and error. And so I bought a hula hoop from like this local store, and then one night at this bar called Aubrey's in a town I went to school in, they used to have like pint night on Tuesdays.
Oh, turn up.
Right, so I was at pint night one night, and my yoga teacher was there, and he was telling me about this hula hoop girl who was local, who I should meet because she's like amazing and she makes the hoops. Anyway, so like we ended up meeting that night. She's like, "Oh my God, you're Micah." I'm like, "You're Sam," and like we became friends to this day. Like shout out Sam, my original hoop sister. And so yeah, she just basically took me under her wing, and so like. There was this big flow jam. They call it like flow in Chattanooga, Tennessee, at a gymnasium. You used to pay like $5 to get in. And like you could do everything here. So they have like acro yoga, hula hoops, like fire, flow, like just everything with people like from all, like you had people who perform at like Burning Man here. And so like you could just learn everything from all these different people. They have like a giant mirror. So you could just practice. I mean, you just go there and flow for like 5-6 hours. And so
I didn't know Chattanooga was this fun. Like my favorite rapper is Isaiah Rashad. He's from there, so that's the most I know from Chattanooga.
So I actually met Isaiah Rashad and YG Tut.
I kind of jealous.
At a concert because I love YG Tut because he's a Chattanooga rapper too.
Yeah, I knew him because after Isaiah Rashad, I said I'd Google some more.
Yeah, but YG Tut is like one of my favorite rappers. Anyway, so he had a concert in Chattanooga. And I was like in the back hula hooping, and he was like, "Hey yo, that girl in the back is getting it."
Yeah.
And so like afterwards, one of the security guards came around. It's like, "Hey, would you like to meet YG Tut?" And I was like, "What?" And then Isaiah Rashad had performed with him, so the two of them were there. So I ended up meeting the two of them. I was like, "This is crazy," but yeah. And so Chattanooga is amazing. I love Chattanooga, and I was doing this for like 2-3 years. So by the time I left, I was like already had solidified like practice with the hoop and stuff. And then
that's how you became the hoop gal.
Right. And then I moved to Germany and I met some more hoopers and I used to practice with them like the whole time I was living there. And so like that's how the hoop thing came about. And then I met this lady named Jocelyn Gordon who did like yoga and hula hoop combined. Like, she has her own yoga teacher training called Hoop Yogini. And that's when I realized like, oh, I could combine. I could like, they don't have to be separate.
Yeah.
And so like I really started like working to combine them myself. And yeah, so that's kind
For
of.
sure, dog. Because like, she really showed you the way that you could do
Yeah,
it.
and she been doing this forever.
Yeah.
Like
And
she.
you still keep in touch?
Yeah. Some content I did was for her.
Nice.
She's a really nice lady, and she's really good at like helping connect. So like I pretty much know all the Black Hoopers on Instagram.
Dope.
Because like we made this group.
And I guess it's also
united.
it's not a huge community, I guess, because
It's not super huge, but the group that's there is good.
that's good.
Yeah, it's a good group.
So our other sponsor, Ricardo Rum, their thing is uniquely Bahamian. So I want to know, what is your uniquely Bahamian thing? Like mine's, like I always say, I like the comforters and I like drink sky juice. That's my Bahamian thing to do. What's your uniquely Bahamian thing to do?
My uniquely Bahamian thing to do. I like to make soup with my Grammy.
What type of soup? Like, so this the soup of like a million different type of things, like 7 meat and all this. Like, what type of soup do you
No non-pea soup.
Yeah, but some people pizza don't have like everything in it.
No, that's wrong. that's the wrong way.
So you
Salt, beef, and ham.
okay, so
only.
So you got the original, the
OG
pea soup.
OG
That's-
pea soup.
Okay. With any dumpling or just
Yeah, babe, dumpling, babe. And dumpling made like cream and
that's the real recipe.
The real
So
dumpling.
so your whole there who want her attention, just know she's the original Bahamian. She's like the good pea soup and
Yeah,
dumpling.
I don't like the tropical salad. Bring me the original conch salad because what is that?
Yeah. I agree.
I am original collect, no collect gold, regular collect.
Well, since she's talking about it, she kind of preempted my next segment, but our last one's to collect the Bear of Bahamas. I'm a platinum guy because kind of the platinum is like the party bear, but use our original collect guy.
Original collect, yeah.
So Friday's going for happy hour. My coworker said cool, but like no, we said no, I had a regular collect. So that's the thing, a real cowbell.
A real cowbell.
Okay, I can
Not
fuck
all
with
that
that.
extra.
I can fuck with, don't mind her being in Germany or these places. You can see where hard it is. How
But
hard
what
it is.
I always tell people, no matter where I go in the world, I always gotta come back home. Ain't nothing like my sweet Bahama land. I like Bahamian gal, true and true. Even like when I was in school, I had a lot of friends. Like they put on that weird accent. I was like, babe,
Go switch it, yeah. Like,
either you gonna understand me,
I-
or you ain't gonna know what I'm saying.
all my friends I know never lived anywhere else. So like my accent like hard, and they be like, but, so even like a lot of foreign podcasts, it's like, but you sound like you island. It's like, yep.
I am.
Island. Like
Island
I've
Island.
only ever lived there. Like I didn't go off to school and things, so I tried my best. And that's why the show is called Who Dat? Because like, what's more Bahamian than that? Who Dat? Who Dat?
For real.
So the thing I guess I even want to know is, like I said, I'll say for the last part of the segment, iguana cat. And I did not expect for this to go like so far. I remember when you posted. And I was like, oh, okay, she can buy from iguana. And I was like, okay, oh, my friend can buy from iguana. That's not me. Then like 5 days later, I see it again. Like, I went out of this world.
I couldn't. So, shout out to my homies at OEU Studios, Kevin Jordan.
Jordan, my homie. Yeah, I gotta bring one in the show soon.
Yeah, babe. So we had we have a group chat called the Stew Crew, and I went to Exuma with Renbert. Shout out Renbert. He hates when you call him Ren, the artist.
Yeah, no, but I know you from SAC. I didn't call you no Ren. Your name was Rembert. Your parents knew Rembert. Your name was Renbert. Shout out to Rembert.
Yeah, so he was doing like this. He's doing like a lot of content and stuff for Bahama Boys, which is shout out Bahama Boys,
Kino.
Captain Kino.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I went on an excursion with them, and we was just like vibing or whatever. We pull up to the Iguana Island first stop. We feed the iguanas. It was great. And then I was like, Iguana Beach. I got a tripod.
Content.
Exuma.
Content.
I was like, this is
It's crazy how our mind works. Like, oh, person be there. Oh, hey, but us, we say, we have content to make.
Yeah, content. It's content time. So I was like, I could talk to everybody for a minute, but then I go like, so I literally, like, the iguanas were all on this side of the beach. I walked all the way to the other side of the beach, and I was like, I should be safe here. So I set up the tripod, started doing my little thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. So I like extend my arm back, and I just like Like my boy just come running, and like people are like, oh, how could you not see him? How could you not hear him? First of all, have you ever done yoga? Like you get into like this zone.
Yeah, you zone right now.
Where like you really don't hear or see anything. You're just like lost in the feelings of your body. Anyway, so like I reach my arm back, and then I just feel like something
Like prick.
grab my finger, and I was like, what the hell? And then, you know, you son of a, no, the whole 9 yards. And so I was like, this is pretty funny. So like we were there on the beach laughing at it, and then when I got home, I was like, my friends would think this was funny.
I gotta post this. Yeah.
So no, I didn't even post it. So I sent it to the group. One of my friends was like, oh my God, that shit's so funny. You need to send that like out. Like he's like, post it on Twitter. I was like, man, I don't think so. And I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll post it on Twitter. So I just like posted the 15 seconds of the bite on Twitter. And my cousin Sean, she was like, because our family like super Christian.
Shout out to Shawnee.
And I used to call her Shawnee. Only her families call her that.
Well, that's also a Twitter name.
Huh?
It's also a Twitter name. Shawnee Gabby.
Oh.
Yes. I like how you're so protective of your family. I fuck with that. But no, that like, so yes.
I am. But yeah, so she messaged me because our family's like super Christian. And she was like, but if you don't want them to see this, you need to take this down because this is about to go viral. And I was like, no, it's not. It'll be fine. I was like, this ain't leaving Bahamian Twitter. I went to bed. I woke up the next day. 2.2 million views. I was like,
fuck me.
I was like, so I have to tell my mommy about this then. So like at one point, one of my mom's coworkers called me and she was like dying on the phone laughing. I was like, but how you get my number? And she's like, oh yeah, I told your mom you went viral. And I was like,
oh Lord.
So she was my mom. I walk up front and I was like, no, listen, I went viral. She was like, oh, you mean like a couple hundred views? I was like, no.
Couple milli. Couple M's.
I was like,
couple M's.
I was like, you know, a couple people saw it. So my brother was there. He had already seen it because he's a Twitter nigga. So he was like laying on the couch and he was killing himself laughing. I was like, yeah, you know, just a couple people saw it. You know, no big deal. So she's like, okay, send it to me. So I take the audio out, right? And I said,
why are we so afraid of our parents? We grown adults. What is wrong? What's wrong?
I don't know what's wrong with me. So I took it out, right? I'm getting kind of hot. So
That's the fail. That's the fail.
So I took the audio out and she was like, but I can't hear anything. And I was like, all right. I cursed, but a lot. Like all the heavy words. So like just be ready for that. When she heard that, she was like, oh my God. Because the thing is, right, I've only sworn in front of my mom once, like by mistake.
Yeah, by accident.
Yeah, because like she doesn't like it. So out of respect for
of
her.
course, out of respect.
Right.
You don't curse
So So when she was like, for her, that was like a whole new world, right? Like, who is this person?
Oh, you was cuss. Not just because he's used the they say that the 5 pound, the 10 pound.
So she was like really upset about it. So she called my cousin, right? And my cousin was like, yeah, all let's discuss. I was like, that wasn't a correct.
That wasn't the right way. That wasn't the right way to tell her that.
And so yeah, she was really upset about it, right? But then like I went to bed, I woke up the next day, and she comes in the room. She's like, so we need to make merch. You need to get shirts, you get bags, you get mugs. She's like, even yoga mats. I was like,
that'd be fire. I think one yoga mat.
I was like, but what's happening though?
I guess she realized, like, okay, yeah, she got but it's we in the millions now. Like, we get
right. And it was so I posted the video, and then like 2 days later, this company called Storyful. It's a company based in Ireland, in Dublin. They emailed me and they was like, have you thought about licensing the video? And I was like, licensing the video? I was like, what does that entail? So they basically sent me the whole breakdown, and it's like, we could sell your video to media outlets and then you get a percentage of whatever we sell it for. Wow. And I was like, that sounds pretty solid because I wasn't making any money off of this before. So like to give y'all,
I like you how you put it on the voice, the professional.
Yeah, like to give y'all a percentage really don't cost me nothing because I was just putting this out there for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like They're like, yeah, it's a really long process. It's gonna take you like maybe like 6 months to get the money. I was like, I literally don't care because I wasn't gonna get no money at all.
Yeah.
And so like that's like I guess the only thing. And then they got like a huge influx of followers on Twitter and on Instagram. But I feel like people feel like this was the defining moment in my career.
Which like I said, I was following you from a long time, and like from my point of view, I didn't see that else change. Like your content didn't change. You still was posting something you was posting. So I don't think maybe I guess for people who are new to you, maybe
yeah. So like they're like, oh,
like,
and
they
then a
finally
lot
discovered
of
you.
right, and then a lot of people were like, oh, so that trip to Spain was because of the iguana bite. I was like, actually, that was in works from like last year.
And that was your birthday trip you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was in the works from last year, and like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, the only thing that the iguana thing brought me was more followers. But like, as far as
Go on, money, not really.
money or making more money or anything from the iguana thing, like until I get this voucher.
This big check.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't do anything. It was cool. It was funny.
It's like a nice hashtag.
Yeah, like they'll not nice. But now, like people is calling me that, like for real. And I'm just like,
all these years, when you all these bruises you have from the hoop and thing, and all these degrees you have, all these trends you have,
And
you know
I'm
me
just-
for that guana.
to iguana for some grapes. For some grapes.
Not even wine. Grapes.
Oh my god.
That was a nice fire birthday shoot. Who did that? Who did the
Oh,
we did it all the hands
shout out
and
Andrew of Naze Media. That's my photographer. Him and Sophia Taylor.
the Sparrow gal.
Yeah,
The
Sparrow
homie.
girl
So
who's pregnant with my sweet baby Ocean.
She just dropped the photos of the
Yes,
shoot.
wait, what? That's my goddess. Wait, I love that gal
Sophie's
so
dope.
much.
Sophie's
Sophie's
dope.
amazing.
Sophie's dope.
So those are the two people I trust to take pictures of me. Like even when they take pictures of me, I never even have to look back at them.
Yeah,
I just take the pictures and go on my way because I know
They
they
got
know
you.
what
They
I
got you.
expect, and we have like this unspoken kind of communication. So they're the two people I do like all my photography.
Is that
with.
all the photos? I see you been posting like piece that like you have more that drop from there. Or?
Yeah, I have a lot more. I have a lot more, but it's incremental. You gotta drop the fire incrementally before you burn the whole app down. You see what I'm saying?
Because if you don't know, she's naked. she's trying to dance around, but she has no clothes on. So.
No, but then ain't no nipples.
No, yeah.
So
and
technically,
yeah, she's naked, but it's family friendly because everything is
it's family friendly.
it's bleeped out. There's no private part showing. It's very respectful. Her mother would be proud. Her mother would be.
She
proud.
isn't. But
No, she isn't.
no, because that was like a whole separate thing.
But
But
you buy your internet.
like one thing that I've had to come to terms with is that there is a vast disparity between how we think our people our age and how older people think, and it's really, really vast.
Oh yeah, that's like a
Because
huge
like we
divide.
have like the generation before us is allophobic, xenophobic, homophobic. Like they were taught to cover and hide your bodies, and you're like as a woman, your body is something that you should be ashamed of. Essentially, I mean they won't say that,
But that's what.
but that's like basically like how they behave. Like, oh, my body is something that I'm ashamed of, and like I'm just like totally different. I'm just like, because the thing is, like for example, in Europe, when you go, like if 20 women on the beach, 17 of them got their titties out. Like they just be walking around with no bikini top on, because that's just like
That's culture.
that's culture. That's normal. Here you try to people
Yeah,
lose
you
their mind.
get locked up.
Exactly.
These exposure. There's children around.
So it's just like I've come to realize like everything is culture, and like you can't expect like people our age are much more traveled than our parents
For
were.
sure.
And so like the things that we see and the things that we experience and the way that we view the world is very different from them. And so like especially coming from like a Church of God, super conservative environment, like where I was taught that if I think about a penis, God could strike me down, right?
You'll catch
on
easily.
fire.
Yeah.
And so for me, like my journey with yoga and my journey just as an adult has been unlearning all of these things and trying to like come into my own beliefs and my own understanding of like the human experience and what it means to be a Black woman living in 2021. And so it's just like it's very difficult because like I said, my family's like super conservative, super religious, It's just, and like me personally, I believe in God and all that stuff, but just the way I believe and the things I think about and like, I don't know, it's just very different. Like I read this book when I was in college called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. And he talks about like, he has this one chapter in the book and it's called Mathematics. And it's basically like, let's say Christianity is 4 plus 4 equals 8. 3 plus 5 also equals 8. And then you have some answers that are closer to being right, like, you know,
maybe
3
like,
plus 4.
like 7.5. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like you have all these different degrees. And he said, you know, where Christians go wrong is they close themselves off. So like if it's not the 4 plus 4 equals 8 exactly, it's a 4 plus 4 equals 8, they don't want to hear about it. So the 3 plus 5 equaling 8 don't even matter to them.
Yeah, they don't care. They also believe in 8. It's just...
Right. And so for me, I've just like learned to open myself up more and be open to the different teachings, because if you look at it, like every religion has some variation of the 10 Commandments. Even like yoga, the Yoga Sutras, you have like the yamas and the niyamas. So you have 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Like they're principles of internal discipline and principles of external discipline. So you have everything from like non-violence and non-harming, which is thou shalt not kill, to brahmachari, which is celibacy. Which is, you know,
No sex before marriage.
yeah. So it's like, it's the same thing. And in brahmacharya, they teach about committing yourself to one partner for life. And so it's the same, it's these same principles all through the religions, but it's just like, if it's not this way, it's wrong. And for me, I don't believe that. And, you know, it's very hard to, and for me, like my family has definitely, done things to violate my beliefs, really, really violate my beliefs more than twice. And so, and when I say my family, we call like, so my aunts and my grandma, we call them the Sanhedrin Council. So like in my family, like if you do anything wrong, like you have to go before the Sanhedrin Council. So like marriage out of, baby out of wedlock to like, smoking weed.
Yeah.
It's like you got to go before the council. And that's what we call them.
And receive judgment.
Right. And so for me, it's like I have to, I understand. And I'm very grateful for yoga because it's taught me, I used to be very angry. I used to fight all the time in high school. I was always in trouble for fighting. I used to fight boys, girls, adults, children, like, I was just very, very, very angry. And it's not something that like I'm proud of. And it's something that I've worked very hard to like overcome. But it's like, for me, I feel as though I understand my family and their background. To be Christian and within the confines of what they consider Christian, that's the best way that they could care. The highest way in their view of life to care about me is to care about my soul and me getting to heaven. And that's their ultimate form of love.
Right.
So anything that they do to those ends, even though it may disrespect me, I try to like look past it and
try to understand where it's coming from.
And understand where it's coming from, because I already understand they're not going to change. And so I have to kind of meet them where they're at.
And get their intention.
Right. And get their intention, because that's the only thing that's going to get me past, you know, the violation or the disrespect or whatever. And so I'm just like, you know, I just wish that the reason that yoga stuck with me so deeply is because it is one of the only spiritual paths that gives you a path for your physical body. Like, think about any religion that you can possibly think of, and think about if they give you a physical, like a list of 100 and so postures that you can do every day to help keep your body in tip-top shape, as you also strive to keep your spirit in tip-top shape. And so like, you see like a lot of Christians in the church, like super obese, hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, like all these diseases, because, you know, just leave it to Jesus and he'll heal me. Even if I come to church Sunday morning and go home and eat like 7 starches and 5 meats afterwards, the Lord will heal me.
The Lord will keep me.
The Lord will keep me, and the man of God will help heal me.
Yes, the man of God.
But and so that's why yoga stuck with me, because even growing up I was like, okay, you're telling me, this is good for my spirit, this is good for my spirit, but like what is good for my body? And like everybody talks about their body being the temple of the Lord, but like you fill it with garbage and you don't exercise and you don't, take care of your mind. Like for me, your body is your first home. It houses your spirit. So you have to care for it accordingly. And that's why yoga stuck with me so much, because it actually provides a path for the physical body. And for me, like, that's everything. And so, yeah, I just love yoga. And I love sharing it with people, because God and yoga saved my life. Because there was a point in my life where I was standing on a chair in my dorm, took the sheetrock out of the roof, had the noose wrapped around the beam, and like a friend called me and was like, come downstairs now. He's like, I don't know why I just drove straight over here, but like I need you to come downstairs right now. And then immediately after that, he started talking to me about yoga. And so like I know
it literally saved your life.
It literally saved my life. Like my friend Royce and yoga and God, they literally saved my life. And so I feel like it's my mission to share that with people. Like
you didn't know who listened, and who class you could have the same effect that they had on you.
And that's the thing. Like I've taught so many classes where people have been like reduced to tears because they hadn't felt anything in their body since this person passed, or since their husband divorced them, or since, they lost their child. And you come across all these different kinds of people who just came for like an exercise, and you give them this experience where they're actually able to like unlock this pain in their body and feel it, in order to, because you can't heal it unless you feel it, right? So like we just been taught to desensitize and detach so much, compartmentalize.
It's like a little tight on I appreciate that. Just put it to the side.
And just like move on. But it's so important to like dive into your emotions, no matter how painful they are, and like learn these really helpful tools. Like even just understanding that when I get upset, my breath shortens. When I get excited, my breath changes again. When I get sad, my breath changes. So just bringing this awareness to the breath and understanding, like, if I could control my breath, I can control my emotions. It's like, that's a big revelation to a lot of people. And so I feel like my task in life is, even if I don't like become a millionaire from teaching yoga, I'm always going to be happy, because I know at the end of the day, I help people to feel more at home in their bodies. I help people to feel more at peace with their emotions. I help people to reconnect with themselves. And like, for me, that's good enough.
That's your mission.
That's my mission. I just want to help people like come into that state of oneness and understand like there's no separation between my mind, my body, and my spirit. They always supposed to be working together in unison. And I just feel like organized religion teaches all this separation. My spirit is different from my body. My mind is a different thing. And my body, my flesh is actually the problem. It's always causing me all this stress. It always causes me to want to sin. It always causes me to do all these things. But when we realize, like, my body is actually my home. This is the vessel that God chose for me to abide in. And we look at it as less of a problem and more of a house. And we honor it and we support it. And
we when you use paint your house for Christmas and these type of things.
Exactly. Like, how like the same way that you treat your actual house. Well, not some people.
Yeah, most people.
Most people. Yeah. That's the way you want to treat. Yeah, that's the way you want to treat your body. You want to be able to care for yourself and love yourself unconditionally. Because I always tell people, if I am uncomfortable in my body, I could only ever come from a place of discomfort when I approach somebody else. Because everything starts with me. So if I'm angry on the inside, I could only ever come from a place of anger. I could only come from a place of confusion if I confused. So once we regulate things with ourselves, then we could come, if we love in ourselves unconditionally, then you could only come from a place of unconditional love when you approach other people. And that's like super important, because people always say, oh, well, my circumstance is this, my circumstance is that. Like there was a point where I was making $0 and 0 cents. had my mommy like, what you doing? You have 2 degrees. You ain't working. You ain't doing nothing. The gym's paying me $20 a class. I struggling. But for me, I was happy because in my mind, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to
changing
do.
people's lives.
And as long as I keep working towards that, like, I'll be rewarded in the end. And yeah.
And you was. So now going forward, the year but over, what's next for you next year with all the classes you have on the weekends? And I like to say New Providence, you know, the Ocean Club and Island House and Palm Key in New Providence. And even in the States, and even not just the States, like London. So just what's next for you next year?
Well, I'm not sure what's next. I have a lot of things that I'm currently trying to manifest, like, you know, like I'm a little vision board. So I have things that I'm hoping to manifest for next year. But as of right now, I actually have my first public class that I've had in months because, you know, all these other places like close to members. So Palm Key 7:30 on Saturday morning, starting the 23rd. We could be at Palm Key. It's $20 for an hour and 15 minutes.
Nice.
Definitely, like, you know, you could put in the work, but at the end you could feel amazing. I actually, so the lady who I went to Spain to do the retreat for, they've hired me as like their resident yoga teacher. And so, Bob. So she organizes different retreats. So whenever they need a yoga teacher, like, you know, they could pay for me.
Just fly you out.
Yeah, man.
Getting flued out. Flew out to wait. That's the
But you know,
that's the feeling, flying out to work.
Yeah. So, but honestly, if somebody had told me like 2 years ago that I would be here now, I'd be like, nah.
Me? You sure?
You sure? You thinking about somebody else? But it's a real blessing, and it's like really, it gives me a lot of hope that no matter, it doesn't matter, even if it is the Bahamas, if you consistent, because you know I've been at this like years now.
6, 7, yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you consistent, you diligent, and you truly like authentic with what you want to do, and you ain't just doing it like for the sake of doing it, you really like your heart is in it. Like you can make anything happen. Like I have recently like just started taking a look at Bahamians like all over the world. And I'm like, everywhere you look, Bahamians out here like really 2 into the world. Like
Exactly.
for real, like just doing that thing. And it's just such an honor to like sit back and watch like creatives do their thing, athletes do their thing. It's just so inspirational because like, yes, the island is small and the country is small.
We mighty,
But we mighty. Like we so mighty as a people, and that's just like incredible. Like I am in awe of young Bahamians. And I've realized too that a lot of older Bahamians are also in awe of us and how like we are charting our own paths. We ain't about to work for nobody forever. Like even you have some people, they work like that 9 to 5, but that's not their ultimate goal. They want to work for themselves and have that freedom. And like that's what I wish for like all Bahamian young people. Like I really wish that you, no matter, because Bahamian adults really have the tendency to
shoot down your dreams.
Shoot down your dreams, not realizing like you really shooting down the next Picasso, or you shooting down the next Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like we have so much potential. And I just want people to realize like it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Once you could envision your dream and see where you want to go and your end goal, like that's really all that matters. Like once you believing in you and you being diligent and putting in the work and actually being a good steward of each blessing that comes your way and not fumbling and showing like, yeah, God, you give me this, I can handle this. I can handle more. I can take more, and just keep going like that. Before you know it, like you be on top of the world.
Flowing.
Yeah, babe.
This has been great. Sorry, it has to end. But it has been great. So this is episode 13, and you can follow MYKAH right where you see BAHAMAHOOPYOGI. Why you
Bahama. BAHAMA.
Bahama Yogi. I got it right this time. So you can follow her if you want. She said Palm Key, and then she'll just
Palm Key on Saturdays at 7:30. Sunrise Yoga.
Just follow her and just keep it with her. Like she said, you could unlock.
Free yourself.
Free your mind. Free your body. So I'm Tim A, and thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for more.